state officials, those sorts of people, and it would just be a simple lectern where I could address the people of my country. And music and okay. And for my music choice, it would actually be a pretty basic choice, you might say, but I would want to play our national anthem. But I think that's important, and that should be played because that song is the song of our country, and it symbolizes everything that we stand for, and it symbolizes that we will fight on, and we will be, and we are in the greatness of our country.
Thank you.
Great job, by the way. Our fourth question. Now it's your time to speak. You're the president-elect. You've got the speech in front of you. What are the pressing issues you're going to talk about? And they can be national, state, or local, here even in Athens. Let's have Christopher Travers come up to the stage and talk about this.
All right, there's a topic that needs addressing in this country, and it's in cities, traffic lights are not aligned with each other. So my first talking point, and probably the only talking point, will be how we need to fund more city planners in the schools around the nation as soon as possible. It takes 4 years to go through college. Well, that's 4 years I'm the president, hopefully the next 4 too, to see the effects of our city planners rethinking and retooling the way that traffic lights work. There will never be a day that you arrive at a light, it turns green, and immediately hit a red light at the very next light. We're beyond those days as president. Travers 2020. Green means go. So, all right, so with the traffic lights, that's just a temporary problem because, as you know, self-driving cars are on the rise. And self-driving cars don't necessarily need lights, they just need to communicate with each other. So this is a good issue to address to solve our temporary problems until they can be addressed by a grander issue or a grander resolution. Thank you.
Fifth question. So now you're president of the United States, you're done with your speech, you're done with the inauguration. It's your first day. What's your first act in office? Who should we have do this? How about kid in a red shirt, right behind Brandon? That's you. What would be the first thing you do in office as president of the United States? All the power. Almost.
The difficult choice, but I think what I would do is reconvene like a congress of our country's best intellectuals and political thinkers and redraft the Constitution. Because it was written in a time that was very different from the time we have today. They had different problems, different ways of approaching those problems, different solutions. And I believe that the Constitution is not something that should be set in stone the time it was written and
Alrighty, our last question. It's your first week in office. You're done with the first day, and you've been hit with a crisis. Crisis dealing with nuclear weapons. You decided for some reason to have an embargo on maple syrup. So now Canada is threatening to have a nuclear strike on the United States of America. And you have 2 minutes, which happens to be the maximum time limit for this question, to defuse Canada's threat and to save the United States. So I'd like Ikra to come up to the stage and save the United States.
Yes.
You can do it.
I'm not saying you picked the right person to solve this, but if Canada actually got to the point where they got pissed off enough to threaten us like a nuclear threat, well, I guess they take their maple syrup very seriously. I would just unleash all the moose we have in the world and just give it all to them. They know nothing else. So, like, what? There's just, you know, the whole stereotype that like Canadians are really nice, and like even I remember reading sometime that like someone got robbed and like instead of like freaking out or whatever, having a dramatic situation, like they like sit down the robber and like talk to him about his life. Just say, are you okay? Do you have problems or something? You should have a counselor, robber in your house. So I'm not totally concerned. It's like a teddy bear like holding up a knife maybe, but they can't. So it's like I think it would be diffused in like a minute. So you know, give them the moose, give them the syrup, give them hugs. They'll be good. So that's all I got. Not the best solution, but that's all I got.
We're now finished with the table topics for today. So now, similarly with the speeches, you will evaluate me on the speech evaluation, the evaluation slips, and you'll tear that off and pass it down to Fahim. And also, you will be filling out best table topic speaker, which is the ballot on the bottom. Joseph, our timer, was everyone in time? Table topics. Yeah, everyone was in time. Cool, awesome. So you can pick between these 6 individuals. I also gave their main speech topics and whatnot. So give you about 30 seconds before questions for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Penguin Awareness Day is an actual thing, by the way. Like, it actually happens. If you were wondering. Any more slips? Nothing well done? Okay. All right. Where's Boston? Oh, is it? Thank you very much to everyone, and especially those who spoke today. You all did great. It was a great time being Table Topics Master again. I would like to introduce back to our stage our Toastmaster, Larry Brooks.
All right, so for our third part of the meeting, it's evaluations. And in evaluations, we evaluate every person who spoke today. That's what a grammarian, a timer, and an all counter, all that goes into the evaluation part. So I'd like to introduce our general evaluator, who is Tyler Chen.
So I'm the general evaluator. I'm going to be the head of the evaluation team. Today we have 4 evaluators, and this is the first time we have 4 evaluators because we have 4 speakers for the first time. So each of our evaluators will be individually evaluating each of the speakers one-on-one. And our first evaluator is going to be speaking for 2 to 3 minutes, Mike Vu.
Woo!
So today I'll be evaluating Fahim. I'm going to do my best to not be biased since I know Fahim for over a long time, for like a year-ish. Yeah, we'll see. So how I'm going to structure this evaluation, I'm going to list up all the bad stuff first, and then say the good stuff. So I have it's like equal in a way. So okay, so one of the very big things about your evaluation that stood out for me the most was you were very, very casual. Like you weren't formal at all. You were walking around. You were saying a lot of slang. You were saying a lot of filler words. I counted some. But yeah, it was different from the other 3 speeches. Like, I think you can tell that from yourself. Like, because you were talking about a pen. And I mean, you caught my attention, but it wasn't in the way of like, for me, I wasn't as inspired as if you were doing a formal speech, like Jessica or Austin or the other. I kind of roasted everybody now, so. But that was your main thing. And also another thing was, I liked your analogy, but you kind of used a little too many analogies. The treaty one was good, but you used like too many. I didn't really like that in my opinion because, like I said, being formal, you need to stick to the point and not use many analogies like that. And so another thing is you were speaking way too fast. So I remember you were like going in these really like hills, it was like a roller coaster because you were like speaking so fast. It's like, what are you saying? Who is this guy? Blah, blah, blah. And then you took like a pause and then you spoke again really fast. And then it was like, it wasn't really fluid in a way, but it was still like, I can understand it. And one more thing is that you had 4 points throughout your speech. This is another big one. You had 4 points, but the first 2 I didn't really understand because you went through them really fast. But the last 2, I remember you said the analogy was pretty good, in my opinion. And then the other one was value, emotional value, and that's important too. And now the pros, you have a lot of charisma. You're like very confident. Going back to Zack's speak, you're not like a dick. So, and you use a lot of hand gestures. So I like that especially when you went up to him and tried to sell the pen, it was very, like, you used both your hands, you put it in front of his face, you showed everything to him, so it was nice. You're funny, everyone knows that. So, and also, your eye contact was good. This is probably the thing you weren't really expecting because you were looking at every single person in the audience in the very beginning. And then when you were looking at him, like when you were talking with him, you looked him straight in the eye. And then you looked at the pen and then looked back at him. And that's good, because you can't have too much eye contact at once. You need to break it, and that's what you did. So overall, you did a pretty good job. And I can't wait to hear from you next.
Grant. He'll be evaluating the second speaker, Austin.
Alright, so I'm going to be evaluating Austin. So his speech was all about having an organized speech with a clearly defined goal that had a good flow and you could keep up with the opening, body, and conclusion of his speech. So I'm going to do a sandwich, pros, cons, and then pros back at the end. So what you did good is I thought your flow was exceptional. At the beginning it seemed a little bit off at first, but then you got right back on track. So you told us what you're going to say, and you clearly defined the problem, and then you clearly defined the solution, and then also some alternatives that didn't work as well. Like you end up with your plan A plus, not plan A, B, C, etc. Yeah, so going along with that, your conclusion was effective. I clearly knew what you were going for at the end of the speech. Instead of being like abstract about it, you said, go with plan A plus, that's where you'll get the most return for the investment that you put in. Also, your transitions were good. You said the problem and you're like, all right, I'm going to tell you what the solutions are, and then I'm going to sum it up precisely for you at the very end. I did see, so some of the cons, I heard that your voice was somewhat monotone through the whole thing. So maybe using a little bit more tone variation with that would like go a long way in really hammering the points home. And then also, I'm probably doing the same thing, but you tended to shift your weight when you're transitioning. So you take a good pause and then you'd like kind of like move around a little bit, and it like kind of distracted away from what you were actually going to say. And then, so also your speech was, you had to give the audience a good, valuable lesson, and I thought the lesson was pretty cool. I honestly heard differently. Like, I mean, you always kind of have to want to have a backup plan instead of just put all your eggs in one basket and just saying like, all right, I'm gonna go with this plan. It's gonna be the best plan, and let's go with it. So I'd heard the opposite, and I thought that was a cool way to look at things, and I'm gonna try and implement that in my own life.